Hello, fellow cyborgs, and welcome to another Author Spotlight. Today, I'm going to be discussing Jacqueline Carey. This is the third and final book of Phaedra's trilogy called Kushiels Avatar. The first is called Kushiels Dart. This is a series about a divinely touched masochistic courtesan in the world of Terre d'Ange, which in essence is this second world's France. In this world, angels and gods really walked the earth, and at times, you can even commune with them. At an early age, Phaedra is sold into the Guild of Pleasure Houses. She has a scarlet mote in one of her eyes, which is originally taken as a flaw. But luckily for her, Anathiel Delany recognizes her as an anguille-set, marks her as one of Kushiel's servants, Kushiel being the god of punishment, of judgment. Though these books are quite long, more than 600 pages each volume, Jacqueline Carey's writing style makes high fantasy so accessible and wonderful. Yes, there are some flowery descriptions, but not as much as you would think, and the dialogue is so easy to understand. I highly recommend this to someone who's interested in stepping into high fantasy, but is a little intimidated. Also, just for the record, this does have some mature content in it, as it follows the life of a courtesan and spy. So if you are very uncomfortable with reading mature content, I don't recommend you picking up this trilogy. That being said, the way Jacqueline Carey writes her mature content is very elegant and fairly mild. So if you've ever read a mainstream romance book, this does have some sexy times, but it's not nearly as graphic as a lot of those books can be. So I think this is also a great starting point for someone who is interested in tiptoeing into the romance section, but is a little embarrassed to pick up a Harlequin. As I said, I have finished Phaedra's trilogy and am really chomping at the bit to get into the next one that is set in the same world. The second Jacqueline Carey I'm going to talk about is on my Kindle, as you can see, and it is her Urban Fantasy Agent of Hell series. This follows a 24-year-old Daisy who has supernatural parentage and lives in a town that is also muddled with the supernatural. This does a really great job of mashing together a bunch of different monsters and fairy and not having it look like a leftover soup of ridiculousness. This uses much less flowery language, as it is an urban fantasy rather than high fantasy. It has the tone more of a romance novel, and yet, at least in the first book, Dark Currents, there is no mature content, but it certainly reads with a more contemporary tone, and it's very, very easy to get through. And it's also really well written for a contemporary novel that might be shelved in the romance section, which unfortunately is not always the standard. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed your introduction to Jacqueline Carey. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of her works, or if this video has made you inclined to do so. And until next time, be lovely. Of mishmashing, of mish.